Hello everyone and welcome back to another review. And yeah, so I previously did an opinion video about this ride because it looked like a cool ride and I've now been on it. So it's basically common sense to give my opinion after riding it if I've done so before riding it. So yeah, this is probably going to be a long video if I make this intro 10 minutes long. So let's get into it. So this is the first GCI wooden roller coaster, or Great Coasters International if you don't know, and it's the first in the UK, and it's also the first wooden roller coaster in the UK over 21 years, which is insane. And it's my first GCI I have actually ridden, so it was something different for me to try out. I've been on other wooden roller coasters such as Stampeder, all that kind of stuff, and this was probably my favourite one, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, so they did hype it up quite a bit on social media, just quite a bit, and even despite the fact the ride name, logo, theming, the structure, everything like that just got revealed beforehand because people leaked it, they kept going with it, which good on you, Towers. And with that hype, I think they did do quite well to overthrow some of the Icon hype, because at one point I was more excited for this than I was Icon, but then they're both great rides, don't get me wrong, but then it kind of turned back over towards the end and towards the start of the season. So, what did I expect from this ride? Being my first GTI, I didn't know what to expect. I expected it to be pretty smooth, and other than that, I was expecting a decent ride, but as we started to get into like the layout plans and stuff, it did seem a bit of a boring layout from the kind of plans we had from up above, and especially when we got test shots of drones, which I think some of them were illegal, but other than that, I remember seeing all of them, and it did show it to go quite slow. But obviously I wasn't saying anything because it was testing. They could change wheels, they can change friction. That's Planet Coaster, I don't know what I'm on about. And then when they revealed the name, structure, logo, obviously it had all been leaked beforehand, but it was building back the hype pretty quickly for me. So then opening day came round. Of course, opening day was covered in snow, so it didn't open. But then a week later it opened fully, and it did look great. The videos made it look great, and I was really getting excited for it. And then in July I took my first ride on it, and here's how that went. So you can't really start this coaster review off with the actual ride itself, because you have the queue line, the music and everything, which by the way, the music is amazing. I'm a score, get us a full release and it will be great. There you go, please just do it, thank you. But yeah, as you're listening to the music and stuff, you see all like the buildings to the left, which is obviously the station, the shop and the pre-show, and you have the structure in the middle, which is obviously got fire and smoke effects, which is great. Well, that is if they're working, which more on that later. And then you have the entrance sign, which is obviously says Wickerman. You go underneath it, you enter the queue, and to be honest, as soon as you enter, you can probably realise it's most likely the best queue in the UK. It's not cattle pen, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it's not that. It goes all the way around the ride. It goes really close to the unbanked turn section, and you get some really good views from it. My favourite views is probably when you're walking up that straight towards the kiosk bit, and also when you've gone up the stairs to almost enter the pre-show. Obviously those two are the best views because they look amazing. You then go through the queue line, and there's obviously theming everywhere, and as I said, best in the UK I'd say. Following that, you then enter the pre-show room, where you don't actually enter the pre-show room, you actually enter into a barn type area, which is the baggage hold, and that's well themed, and obviously the music and bass is blaring, which you can hear, and then the doors open into the pre-show. Not going to spoil the pre-show, even though most of you have probably been on the ride and seen it, but I'm not going to spoil it, because even if you have seen it, you know what it's like and you know it's good. So there's that. And then you enter the station. Now I know they don't want to let you choose your rows, which is a bit annoying, and that's probably my only bug with the station area and the main kind of loading itself. But I know it's to speed up queue times and stuff, which it definitely does do that. But it's a bit annoying when you do want to go on the front or the back, but you know, it's still a good ride anyway, I'd say, but it's a bit annoying you can't choose. You can kind of cheat the system if you're clever. Did it like twice, but yeah, you don't need to know about that because it's a secret that some people. No, it's not even a secret. I don't know what I'm on about. So on to the ride, because it's been a bit of a while, because you know, pre-show, all that kind of stuff. I do like the pre-show. It's not Darren Brown because it's not like 3 minutes long, and obviously if the Wickerman structure was Darren Brown, that'd be a bit creepy. But basically, it's not like that pre-show. It's only about what, just under a minute long. It's quick. It's overdone quick as well, and that's a good thing. It's very good quality, and it's short, so that's great. So anyway, onto the ride. You then enter the turn into a room underneath the... Is it underneath the pre-show? I think it is. It's underneath the pre-show, and you enter, and it's usually filled with smoke. Obviously, might not work. But then you turn out of that building, and you're up the lift hill. Let me just say, in that room, the smoke is lit up orange, so it looks like it's fire, which looks quite cool. But obviously, if the smoke's not on, it looks really bad. Go on through to the lift, up the lift, then down, round, and down the drop. The first drop to the first interaction, I'd say, is the best part of the entire ride. The first drop somehow gets a lot of speed to it. Like, somehow. It's like Nemesis. It gets its speed out of nowhere, which is really good. And yeah, and you go down, it whips you down if you're on the back, obviously, and it's actually still a good drop on the front, which I do like. Then you go up into this airtime hill kind of thing. You do get quite whipped over that if you're on the back row. Obviously, I'm gonna keep saying you get whipped over places on the back row because you really do. Then down, probably this is, if you were to choose one best bit, this is probably the best one for me. The twist drop. It's not a normal drop down, it's like you bank right, then bank back left as you're going downwards, and then you kind of turn massively round into the first interaction out of the 3. Then you go up, do a quick turnaround, few little hills, and then down through the second interaction and downwards. Back row, again, whips you over, and that's why I'd probably say back row is the best row on this ride. Front is still good, but the back row is just mental. Then you kind of turn round, up, then down again, and then you're into this really unique part. Some people slate it for being unbanked, but I don't really care. I think it's alright. I mean, I'd probably prefer if it was banked, but I like how it's unbanked. It's unique. You go round like a 180-degree turn, and then this is another one of my favourite parts, where you actually drop down and then go into another airtime hill and then go through the Wickerman structure the third time. And then that bit is quite good, especially, again, on the back row. You get whipped down that hill and over that airtime hill. And yeah, then you just go down again, up, and then you kind of do some S-bend. It's unbanked. It's an S-bend at some speed and into the brakes. All of that is whilst interacting mostly, or some of it, with the queue line and obviously the Wickerman structure itself. Then you enter this tunnel and you go into the maintenance shed, or as I like to call it, a Mystic Timbers incident, where they hyped up, well, they didn't hype it up actually, but there's a lot of potential for the shed, but it's not done very well. I know they didn't hype it up as much as they did, but all it is, if you don't know, is just a lot of smoke. It's just pitch black, and then just smoke bursts down from the ceiling. You mostly get it if you're towards the middle, but yeah, it's just yellow lit up smoke just bursting down at you throughout the last turnaround going back into the station. But they could have done more with that. I'm not saying that they didn't do something with it which makes it worse, because I'm not bothered about it. It just would have made it even better if they did something with that last room. Some people were expecting like a 13 drop, like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And then you're in the station, and then please exit to your left. There is no escape to the right. That was cringe. And then you get off and you go over the bridge and you get a really good view of the Wickerman again. And then you go into the shop. The shop with DBGT. I keep mentioning Darren Brown, but I don't care. it's probably the best shop they've made, Merlin have made in the UK, whatever. And the merchandise is really good in there as well. It's themed amazingly. I bought a t-shirt from there and a piece of wood, because I'm sad. Anyway, that is the ride review done. Now, we need to go through some of the stuff that I said earlier. The effects. Now, I know that literally some things happen, they can't turn them on, it's like heat issues, climates, whatever, but I don't think I've been on Wickerman once where every effect is on. I don't think I have. I think I've been close, but there was one time where I'd go, the first time I went I was a bit disappointed because the fire wasn't on, but the steam was great. Then the second time fire was on and mist was on, and then third time fire was on, no mist. So you know, it varies quite heavily what you get, and it would be nice to see it more frequently on. I've heard it's actually been coming along a lot more, which is pretty good. So I'm happy they've been getting it on a lot more, but I just wish that it worked every day. I know that's not Alton Towers' fault. They want to save money or whatever they do with it. I'm not technical again, but and talking of effects not working, the ride not working. Now, I know this is less of a problem now, but I still think it's a thing to talk about. The amount of breakdowns it has / used to have was stupid. Literally, I was in the queue my first ever time and it broke down 3 times in half an hour, which killed me. Well, it didn't kill me, but to be honest, it did say 60 minutes, and we joined the queue, still had 3 breakdowns which lasted about 10 minutes each, and we got on in about 50 minutes. So even with breakdowns, it was less than advertised, which is pretty good going, but I'm not complaining. Although every single time you're waiting for it and it's just testing, and all you hear is this Scottish guy in the background go,
"The Wickerman is currently experiencing a delay.
Just turn it off!" Anyway, what do you guys think of Wickerman? Is it in your top 20? Because big statement, I know, but it's definitely in mine. And I do love the ride. I think the theming makes it a whole lot better. Not to say the ride itself isn't bad, but I think if the theming wasn't there, it probably wouldn't be as good. It's quite short, which I'm not bothered about. I'm fine with short rides considering Stealth's in my top 5, but you know. And I think overall, Alton Towers have done pretty good with SW8. I say pretty good, but they've done an amazing job with it, and I really cannot wait to see what they do in the future and whether we're going to get more GCIs in the UK. I'd like to see one at some of the family parks like Portons Park or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, leave your comments in the description. That makes sense. Leave your comments in the comments about what you think of Wickerman, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.